Welcome back, welcome back. If you are new and like what I'm doing, please subscribe, share with your friends, tell a family member. Say, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. I like what he's doing. I think I'm gonna share what he's doing. Well, anyways, today we are going to paint a micro bluegill. Just get an idea of the size. It's about the size of just my thumbnail, maybe a little bit bigger. And the colors that we're going to use: black, golden brown, gold, silver, white with silver mix. Also, I call this my enhancer white, light blue, yellow, yellow gold, technically, orange, and purple blue. The very first thing we are going to want to do is hit it with the enhancer white. Make sure the brush is good and cleaned out. Make sure there's no back residue. A list of items that I use, and this one will be in the description below, and where to buy it from and where I bought it. You can click the link, or you can just take and put the name in Google. You may be able to find it cheaper. Most of my stuff was ordered off of Amazon many moons ago. Well, anyways, here we are. Just hitting it with one quick layer of enhancer white. Doesn't have to be heavily sprayed on. Doesn't have to completely hide. Will be a perfect overspray. Alright, first layer is complete. The next layer is gold. Why gold? Just making something a little different. You don't need a lot. No heat set just yet. Just spray it on right there over top of that. You get your first layer. Okay, now we're gonna heat set it. You do have to spray the bottom. We're gonna hit it with a little more gold. Just over the top and on the sides. Right. Our next step after the heat set will be a little purple, purplish blue. You do not have to clean out your brush just yet, because you kind of want those colors that's in there all to mix together. And just spray along the bottom side. Just make sure it sprays out first. If you can see that, it's literally along that lateral line that's in the lure. And also with that enhancer white, it gives it a little reflective shimmer. And you got that on both sides. You can spray a little bit on the tail if you want. That blue purple comes out almost a pinkish color, which is really cool. Had those little reflections. And bluegill, if you ever picked up a bluegill and really took a good look at them, it has those different colors. If you want, you could cheat a little bit and hit certain areas over the top as well. Top sides. Not a lot, nothing too crazy. I hope you guys can see that. And your next step is just get a little water in. No, don't get a little water. We're gonna actually leave that in there. We're gonna spray out the excess. Spray out all of that, spray it out, get it out of there. And we are gonna heat set the lure. Now that this has been heat setted, the next thing we want to do is use your metal mesh and clamp around the bait. Or you can wrap it with the loofah or whatever it is you like to create your scales. Take a small clamp, close it down, and we're good. The next thing you're going to want to do is hit the bottom underneath. This is a step you don't have to do. It's just me because I like detail. Hit it with a little silver. You only need one drop because of how small the lure is. You can do this according to how big your lure is. I did one drop. It has that purplish stuff still mixed in, so that will still give it an added effect. All right, so the next step is silver, just underneath the belly. You just want to make sure that that's going to come through correctly. Right. May not look like much of anything right now, but once you clear coat it, it'll definitely show. And while that is still on there, heat set it. Your next step is brown. Make sure you clean your brush out. You don't have to clean it with water or anything unless you want to. In this case, I like these pearlize colors mixing together. So I'm gonna do a couple of drops and just test it. That's what I want tested before hitting the lure. Now you're gonna want to spray over the top, not onto the sides as much, just over the top. Try not to angle it. Spray directly over the top. Heat set it. The next thing you're going to want to do is actually take off your mesh netting for your scales. Pull it back real slow. I got one mark on there, I see. That's the thing I dislike about this metal netting, but it works. All right, you got your scales underneath with the silver and over the top with the brown, and it's running into your pink. Your next step is going to be spraying the gill plate. In this case, I am going to actually add a color to the mix. This is you can use green, brown, whatever color you want. Silver on the gill plate. This one here is a green brown. It's a green, brown, and gold mix. I am going to spray out all this brown. Make sure it's good and gone. Put one drop of this in, just one drop. I am going to reheat set the lure and make sure it's good and hot on high so that when this hits it, it dries instantly. Don't want this stuff to run. You're gonna spray directly onto the gill plate. Check your spray though real quick. Yep. Just hit the gill plate. This is a step that you can actually skip if you want. I'm not gonna skip it because just hit the gill plate. Mainly because I want to add a special feature. Alright. Clean that out of there. And you're gonna want to go back to brown. Brown gold. One drop of brown gold. And you want that at the top part of the gill plate. Top part of the gill plate to the eye. Make sure it's gonna come out brown gold and not green. Actually spray the front end of the lure as well. Don't mind the overspray, that creates texture in the bluegill's face. And so the next step, if you have this, you don't need it. This is a step that's not required. Put it on and spray right where the green is on the gill plate. those little fine micro dots. Same thing on the other side. With the same brown that's still in there, you're gonna want some lateral lines going down the bluegill side. These little lateral lines. Here's the crazy thing. I didn't think I was gonna ever spray micro lures, but I made stencils small enough to create lateral lines on the bluegill this small. You're gonna want to heat set before you do this, just to make sure everything's good. Take that same little bit of brown and lay your stencil against it. You don't want your lateral lines to go all the way down to the bottom. So slide it up and down until you find that halfway point, or where you can see those lateral lines at. And then also off the gill plate. And then just hit it with a little brown. Alright. And then run a little brown over the top again, over top of your scales, to make them darker right along the side, to hide where the lateral lines start and stop. You're gonna want to do the same thing on this side. Make sure you clean this off so that the lines match, because this is the side that's gonna actually touch the bait. Not unless you make two of the same stencil, but I didn't. Find your gill plate where it starts. Make sure your lateral lines don't go all the way to the bottom of the lure. Slide it up and down till you find that line that you want. And just hit it with the brown. Spray over the top to hide where the lines start and stop. The next step, get rid of all of that brown that's in there. Light blue. Actually, no, I'm gonna do my yellow underneath. In most cases, a couple of drops. You don't even need a couple. I dropped way too much in there. I did 3 drops. It only needs 1. In most cases, you would, I would stop the yellow at the halfway mark, because there's usually an extra spot for a hook here on bigger square bills and stuff like that. But in this case, we don't have a bigger square bill, so we have to follow the gill plate. I'm gonna stop where the gill plate starts or stops. So you want to spray underneath with just the yellow. Make sure yellow's coming out. And just spray just enough for the yellow to show underneath. Is a little bit of orange. I'm going to do a little bit of orange with the netting or your scale pattern. You're just gonna wanna take and slide that under there. That one's a little too big. I don't want it to mess up. So I'm gonna cut one out. Just at an angle. Just a roundabout angle to go underneath. And I'm gonna take it off of my helping hands so that I can make sure that I can get a hold of it how I want. With this metal mesh stuff, man, it grips the gloves with ease. All right, everything is heat set. Slide. I might have to take this glove off because I want to get this under there into place. All right. So I got it underneath and in place how I want it. And I am going to take that little bit of yellow and just spray, orange, and just spray right over top of the yellow. Not completely to the yellow, just halfway. So that you get that effect. If you could see that. I'm gonna heat set it. And our next step is light blue. Gonna use my fine brush to get that effect. Hopefully I made an air stencil small enough for this, so I may have to use a Sharpie. We'll see. Let's see if the fine brush can pull off. Okay. You need one little drop of light blue. This is going to be really tricky. All right, so you want to spray right along the back end of the gill plate, right along there. Follow those lines. There's two of them. Well, there's technically three. On here it's three, but just follow the first little line and the very last line. So a halfway point. Not all the way around, just halfway underneath the eye. Make sure your PSIs are not too high, because you don't want blowouts. You want it around 15, 10 to 15. Make sure your tip is good and clean, and proceed by coming from under the bluegill or the lure or the bait, not directly on. Come from underneath and slowly go up. You probably can't see this because of how close I am to the bait. There is your light blue on the 2 lines of the gill plate. And now we have to mimic that same thing on the other side. It's gonna be pretty fun. There it is. The light blue on each side. The last and final step is black, making your ear. In most cases, you want the ear right where you stop at with the light blue. So spray out your light blue. It's this here, but I'm gonna tape up all of these dots and keep the one dot that I want. Right, you need literally 1 drop, not even 1 drop, just a damper on the needle inside the cup, just a little drip. You could just probably barely touch it and get what you want. I'm gonna take this ear and I'm gonna line it up until I can see the gill plate and just put it right there on the edge. All right. Line it up until you get it to where you want it. Boom. Got an ear. Do that on the same thing on the same side. You don't want to slide it around a lot because I didn't wipe that off. I should just wipe that off. You see, it's dry already. Find your gill plate. Boom. You got yourself a micro bluegill. Trying to add the eyes. Glue. This stuff here literally pours out. Got your eyes on. Slide them into the sockets real good for that glue dries. Heat set, heat set, heat set. Taking the tape off, and I know I said final step, but I feel like I want to show you guys. Or maybe I don't need to show you guys because you've seen it in other videos. I'm gonna hit it with some of that spastics clear coat. If you guys want to buy stencils, I do make them. Thank you all for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe, share with a friend, a family member, your neighbor. You never know. You might share this with your neighbor and it may help them in the future. You never know.